Welcome to SVG-TV News for Tuesday, October 20th, 2015. I am Jennifer Richardson with the details. Students and teachers of the Lodge Village Government School are receiving counseling after yesterday's tragedy. 9-year-old student Kunja Brown of Redemption Champs was killed instantly in a motor vehicle accident just outside a school gate, while 5-year-old Gabrielle James was knocked unconscious and remains hospitalized. She was reportedly struck by the minivan HN113 driven by Richard Bardo of Fountain around 3 p.m. yesterday, just after leaving the school compound. The male student, who is now deceased, was a passenger inside the van at the time of the accident, when his head reportedly collided with an object on the outside. He is said to have suffered a fatal neck and head injury and died on the spot. When SVG-TV News team visited the accident site today, flowers were laid at the lamppost. The outside object, which Kunja's head is said to have collided with. His grade 4 classmates and teachers were also at the site. His classmates also drew photos and wrote messages expressing their love for the deceased. At the school, students and teachers remember Kunja as a student who loved God and wanted to become a pastor.
My friend is Kunja, and he used to play with me, and every day I always talk to him and tell him that God loves him. And when I told him that, he said okay. And yesterday, before he died, he came and told me that something is going to happen to him, and I told him God will bless him in that, what he thinks will happen to him.
So he actually told you that?
Yes, please.
And what did you tell him again? What did you say to him?
I told him that it's okay, but believe in God.
So he really loved God?
Yes, please. He always wanted to be a pastor.
He was very close to me. I remembered that one time he told me that he really wanted to become a pastor. How I know that? I look at him play, where he would take the corks and he would build a church, and he would use the same corks as the congregation. And even when we had a meeting at our church, program at our church, he usually request song for him to sing. And I am running a program at my church called a mentoring program, and he's one of the mentees. So he was really close to me. I felt it right now. I have not shed any tears because I'm still in a state of shock.
Her name is Gabrielle James. She's in my class, grade 1 Eagles. I'm very shocked about the situation and so on. She's a very quiet child and who does her work well. And right about now we are just praying for her. She's still in the hospital, and we are praying that she will get better.
I was actually in my class yesterday when I heard the impact. I don't know if it's the vehicles or the vehicle hitting the pole, but I was one of the first teachers on the scene. When I got there, one of the other drivers on the vehicle told me that a child is in the vehicle. So upon approaching the vehicle, I saw his hand outside, so I held on to him and trying to tell him, you need to get out. But when I realized his hand was limp, I went up closer, and what I saw was a very gruesome sight. That's when I realized that he was gone. So it's really hard for me because it's like I can still feel his hands in mine. It was still very warm because I got there like less than a minute after the accident took place. So it's really hard.
Meanwhile, Randolph Barrington and Eddie John provided SVG-TV News with an eyewitness account of what transpired at the site of the accident, which left one student dead and another fighting for her life.
And on the hay and a C2 one. One was up there by the school gap.
One was coming down?
That was coming down, and the other one going up. And the hay. When you hear the sound through the pole.
What sort of sound are you talking about?
Well, it means when you try to get damage to the pole, because this guy could get away and a child was going to cross, She was going across, and he tried to get from the child, and that is how this child, the other child, will be even get damaged because that child hand was hanging out, even out, both head and hand being out, so you could see the child hand outside.
I come from the school with my daughter, right? And my daughter fall along, so I do some picture for they will continue for go again. From the time me and a teacher now and she start to walk from the school gap come down. From the time we do some reach Albury, so they had the old phone booth there. We do so, see the van do so and run over the youth. Well, the girl she self try run across the road for try go over meet the other children and who she just go home with. But soon as she do so for go across, the first van will pass, miss she from knocking she down. But the second driver now, from the time he behold she down, he make a attempt to pull her from she. From the pole he pull now, he still hit she sideways, which is like a pay for the vehicle itself. And then the back wheel itself run over she. And I do so now, run, go try picture up in the road. Blood and things start to run out she mouth and she knows. I saw God she dead. Then the driver run come out now, I saw God, don't tell me that, don't tell me that. And he did the sort of scratch here, another conductor now come, picture pushing and Noah. They were she down straight hospital. When we do so now, some other children start to jump out the van. When they do so, they tell them, you know, it's a youth man inside the dead. So as I do so, I go by the back the last. You're watching the youth man hand out the van itself and the neck itself, the inside the van between the.
At-risk youths aged 15 to 29 years old are being offered the opportunity to achieve a better standard of life through a youth skills development program, which is being coordinated by the Sector Skills Development Agency. The program targets youths who dropped out of school too soon or youths who could not afford to continue their educational pursuit. Speaking at the official launching ceremony earlier today at the NIS training room, Chief Education Officer Luan Gilchrist says this is a significant opportunity in which at-risk youths get to improve their living circumstances by receiving proper academic training and instruction.
Now this program falls squarely under the Second Chance Education program. It is not a formally designed program, but it is one of the philosophies under which we operate in the Ministry of Education so that we can offer to members of the population multiple opportunities, a second opportunity or even a third opportunity to gain qualifications and skills from which they will launch themselves into employment and as a result into a better standard of living. I'm pleased to inform you that this program involves former inmates of the prison. We know that rehabilitation of our former inmates is very important, not only for their own success or survival, social and economic survival, but also for the survival of their families, their children.
Gilchrist further says that there needs to be more programs that meet the needs of the vulnerable and other groups of persons in St. Vincent and the Grenadines, so that each individual can work to the benefit of the country.
A number of those who have social problems are the children of inmates or former inmates. That places them at risk. The parents are at risk, they are at risk, the education system by extension is placed at risk. Therefore, you would understand the importance that the Ministry of Education must place on programs such as this one that include and involve every member, every person, every citizen in St. Vincent and the Grenadines. There must be a program that targets the various sectors of the population, that meets the needs of various sectors of this population, so that their employment can be assured, or chances for employment can be assured, and so that the productivity of the country as a whole is enhanced.
The Senior Education Officer adds that the program is part of a strategic plan for the development not only of individuals and their families, but also for the social, economic and structural development of the nation. Gilchrist states that education is one of the pillars on which SVG's growth is designed, and more specifically, education speaks to the technical and vocational training as an important supporting structure to the advancement of the people. She says academics and technical studies go hand in hand and urges Vincentians to always strive to have both.
Explain this to me. We're often told that students who cannot use their heads must use their hands. Tell me if your hands work independently of your head. Show me a person whose hands work independently of his or her head, and I'll show you a robot, maybe. But even a robot will have a central processing unit. So let us not consider TVET to be the outside child of the education system, for it is not. The efforts and work of the Sector Skills Development Agency, the National Qualifications Department, along with the efforts and the work of the Adult and Continuing Education Unit in the Ministry of Education, combine to find those persons in the population, those people in the population who have skills, but who need to have those skills formally certified.
The Chief Education Officer used the opportunity to encourage parents to find ways to reinforce the knowledge taught to the youths by the educators of the project and not to leave the burden of responsibilities on the instructors.
When we have our students in school and we're working towards upskilling them, working towards educating them academically, socially, spiritually, we need the support of their parents. We need the support of their parents. For whatever is taught at school needs to be reinforced and consolidated at home. More and more we are realizing that this reinforcement and this consolidation do not take place at home. Therefore, the onus is on us, on the schools, on the teachers, to fill those gaps. It's a monumental task. Therefore, we have to equip our teachers with the social skills, with the suite of skills necessary for creating of our students well-rounded individuals who can contribute to their family.
The local Youth Skills Development Coordinator, Kenneth King, says the program aims at recapturing or reclaiming the disadvantaged and at-risk youth.
They are our hope to the future. So this program is an intervention by the Sector Skill Development Agency of the Ministry of Education. Now there are 7 programs seven courses which this program will be offering. These are electrical installation, plumbing, data operations, food and beverage, cosmetology, welding, and small engine repairs. Now these courses will be done at the 4 technical institutes, which are located at Georgetown, Kingston, Camden Park, and Barley.
The Major Crime Unit has arrested and charged Junior Nash, a resident of Otley Hall, for causing the death of Comroy Dexter Weeks. Weeks is said to have sustained a single stab wound to the chest during a fracas on Saturday, October 17th, resulting in his death at the Milton Cater Memorial Hospital yesterday morning. Nash appeared at the Serious Offences Court today and was not allowed to plead to the indictable offence. He was remanded into custody and the matter was adjourned to January 25th, 2016, when the preliminary inquiry is expected to commence. The Ministry of Health, Wellness and the Environment, in collaboration with the Pan American Health Organization, held a workshop on the prevention and management of diabetic foot complications yesterday. Epidemiologist Dr. Rosman Adams pointed out that non-communicable diseases is one of the leading causes of deaths in St. Vincent and the Grenadines, which affects the development of the country. He said persons with these diseases require significant medical treatment and the health sector is responsible for providing the necessary medication at affordable prices, as out-of-pocket costs can lead to poverty over an extended period. Dr. Adams said the aim of the workshop is to sensitize and educate persons on the importance of amputation prevention.
Patients at times may also lose their jobs, and if they are the breadwinner in families, then it means that it is going to pose significant strain on their family and may have very negative socio-economic impacts. Complications such as diabetic foot, foot ulcers, etc., lead to amputation, one of the most feared complications of diabetes. We all have heard how it said that, you know, the number of amputations are increasing and they're cutting off people's foot. However, we have to do this at times in order to save the lives of our patients. And as healthcare workers, we know that if a lower extremity is gangrenous, there's nothing that we can do but to amputate.
Foot health practitioner Janice Oliver spoke of situational analysis diabetes and foot care in SVG. She noted that in recent years, great strides have been made in the management of chronic diseases. However, the diabetes rate continues to rise in St. Vincent and the Grenadines, which she said is also recognized globally as a public health problem.
Analysis of the diabetic foot care in St. Vincent and the Grenadines revealed the following: shortage of trained health personnel, shortage of foot care kits, proper integration of foot care assessment in primary health care service, sustainability of our foot care program in St. Vincent and the Grenadines. And this is of paramount importance if we are to reach our diabetic clients and patients who are in need of foot care assessment. Diabetic foot care is very important in the delivery of primary health care if we are speaking prevention of amputation of any sort, be it foot, leg, or digit. From January to June of 2015, our diabetic population stands close to 2,000 persons, of which females are mostly affected.
The final meeting of the National Fisherfolk Cooperative on strengthening Caribbean fisherfolk to participate in governance commenced here today at the Fisheries Conference Room. The two-day workshop forms part of a 4-year project initiated by the Caribbean Natural Resource Institute, CANARI, in partnership with the Center of Research Management and Environment Studies at the University of the West Indies, along with the Caribbean Network of Fisherfolk Organization, the CNFO, and the CARICOM Regional Fisheries Mechanism, the CRFM. The project, funded by the European Union, is designed to build the capacity of fisherfolk organizations in the Caribbean region to effectively be a part of fisheries management and have a voice in decision-making processes. Addressing the opening at today's session, Technical Officer at CANARI, Melanie Andrews, outlined their expectations for the project.
Strengthening Caribbean fisherfolk to participate in governance project will come to an end. And as I said, we're in the 3rd year. It's a 4-year project and it's scheduled to come to an end at the end of December 2016. But it is our hope, the partners, CANARI and the partners, that the information shared and capacities built throughout this 4-year project will continue to be applied and built on and shared among the fisherfolk organizations for many more years to come. It is also hoped that the fisheries departments, cooperative departments, regional fisheries management organizations, and civil society organizations will continue to support the fisherfolk organizations in building their capacity to participate in governance. And more importantly, it is hoped that the fisherfolk organizations themselves will remain committed to the objectives of this project long after it has ended.
Deputy Executive Director of the CRFM, Dr. Susan Renton Singh, encouraged all fisherfolk to take advantage of the opportunities provided through the project and reinforced her organization's commitment to enhancing fisheries in the region, as she urged everyone to be a part of the project.
The project has also established a group of mentors, and it will be up to you to make use of those mentors. If you make use of them, then they won't lose their skills that they've learnt. Of course, the present project, as it should, has built on earlier CRFM fisherfolk capacity building projects. And it's good that that is so, because CRFM, through its efforts, helped establish the Caribbean network of fisherfolk organizations. And it is very pleasing for CRFM to see that there is additional support. It is not just left to the CRFM to work with the CNFO. Other organizations are working with the CNFO. The CNFO's reputation is now global.
President of the National Fisheries Organization, Ocean Victory, further urged all local fisherfolk to stay active in fisheries management, especially those in the Grenadines, as the project is designed to give them recognition on important issues affecting the sector.
Good fisherfolk leaders, you have to seek information. You cannot wait at your organization and feel information will come to you. We have in our mate Sister St. Renton with CRFM, who have a lot of information and willing to share this information with Fisherfolk organization. You need to get up and get out there and seek this information so that you can develop as leaders.
Permanent Secretary in the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, Nathaniel Williams, told protocol officers here that values are what make an individual good or bad at their jobs. P.S. Williams was speaking at a diplomatic protocol and etiquette workshop held yesterday under the theme, Improving Our Ability to Serve Through Dedication and Professionalism. The workshop was aimed at improving participants' understanding of protocol as well as to develop a cadre of professionals who are well placed to deal with dignitaries and officials at official functions, among others. Williams said it is not just about meeting a diplomat or minister at the airport or simply seating persons at a national function, but their goal is to positively promote the culture of SVG and interests of the state.
Diplomatic protocol and etiquette is not only when we're dealing with foreign nations, organizations, individuals. It's also when we're dealing with our own people. We practice a certain protocol in the manner in which we treat our people. If any one of you had the opportunity to go to France or any French state, the immigration deal with their nationals first. It's just a culture of the French. They deal with their national first. So our health policy is part of our foreign policy. Our education policy is part of our foreign policy. Our agricultural policy, and name them, etc., are part of our national policy that frames our foreign policy. But in our foreign policy, a state's national interests are its primary goal. In other words, as we interact with other states, other organizations, our national interests are our primary goals and ambition.
A new board of directors has been elected to run the affairs of the Marico United Friendly Society Bunpan for the next 2 years. At the Society's annual general meeting last Sunday, the positions filled were President Ricky Burnett, Vice President Theophilus Shallow, General Secretary Christy Thomas, Assistant Secretary Treasurer Cecil Jackson, Treasurer Dougal James, and Trustees Gavin and Trevor Jackson. These elected members will elect 2 committee members to fully constitute the 9-member board. Members present at last Sunday's meeting at the Society's headquarters at Mesopotamia heard an address from the outgoing president, the board of directors report, and the presentation of the financial statements for the year ended 31st December 2014.